Go. Okay, guys, I've got a special treat for you today. And part of it's slightly selfish because I asked people on a post on Facebook about lighting because I'm never, ever able to find decent light that doesn't give me headaches and drive me crazy. And then Robin kindly messaged me and offered some help. And then I had more questions, and then I had more questions. And then it got to the point that it was a little embarrassing. And I thought, well, I can't just keep taking her time. Would you like to be a guest on Cup of Joe? Because if I have questions, I'm sure other people will as well. And I'm very, very interested in how our surroundings affect us. And Robin has won awards for interior design. She has a long career in interior design, and she's an award-winning narrator. So she knows what we need and what it feels like. And we all love her booth. So we're going to hang out with Robin. I'm going to get a little bit of the good stuff. And I'd like to start with, I'm really considering this in my life right now, and I think Robin can perhaps back me up and help us with this. I know we all started wearing our pajamas and we were stuck in the house, and it was kind of like a just hang on, don't gain too much weight, and try to maybe do some exercise over the last few years. But I remembered something I'd heard a long time ago, that the way you dress, you're not dressing up just because other people won't see you. It's the reason I want to do my makeup. I don't care what other people think. I do it because when I look in the mirror, what are you saying to yourself if you're not worth feeling nice and looking nice and taking care of yourself? And the same goes for your booth. What are you saying to yourself if you're going to sit in an ugly booth that doesn't show any of your personality for hours and hours and hours a day? So I think as artists, we have to touch on all our senses. And Robin is the lady that can teach us how. So 10-year-old Robin, what did you want to do when you were 10 years old?
Oh, I wanted to be an actress. Absolutely.
Did
That
you?
was the only, oh yeah, that was the only thing I had in my head for decades.
Were you in school plays and everything?
Oh
And
yeah, I was all in all the school plays, and I actually studied in New York for 3 years. Studied acting and dance and voice, and I couldn't renew my visa because I'm Canadian, and so when my visa ran out, I came back to Canada and I did some theater, and in those days they were called industrial films, which they're now called corporate explainers and things like that. But I was not temperamentally suited at the time for making cold calls and walking into casting directors' offices to try to drum up work. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I was an extroverted introvert, and that made me want to just die. So I had to find another creative endeavor, and I went back to school for interior design, and went back to school for 3 years.
wait,
And
wait, 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 wait. Okay, I think we've skipped over a good bit.
okay,
How old were you when you went to New York, and how was that decision made? And did your parents support it fully? Were you scared? Because that's a scary thing.
yeah, it was very scary, very exciting. But actually, the way it happened was in Canada, there is an educational arts festival called the Banff Festival and the Banff School of Fine Arts out west in Alberta in the Rocky Mountains. And I went to the Banff School of Fine Arts for 2 summers. The first summer as a regular student, and the second summer I was invited to be in the theatrical master class, which we take classes all summer, but we rehearse for a play at the same time. And at the end of the term, we put on a play that is part of the Banff Festival. And
And
so
how old were you at this time? Like a
I was
teenager?
about, no, I was about 20, 21, maybe. I was about
Okay.
21. And we did Chekhov's Three Sisters, and I played the youngest sister, Irina. And it was directed by an absolutely phenomenal director, Henry Wolfe, who is British and was very well known at the time. And so that was a fantastic experience. But one of the instructors as part of the program was an acting teacher by the name of William Esper. And he
Wow.
is Yeah, he is. Uh,
That's a piece of luck.
yeah, he was Sanford Meisner's protege,
Yeah.
and he invited me to New York to study with him. And he
Wow.
said, but my class is full this coming year, so I want you to come down for next year. And I said, well, that year I was actually planning to spend a year in Israel, and I was going to take a year off and work and be with a friend of mine who was going over there. And he said, no, if you're serious about acting,
Right.
you're going to find an acting program, and wherever it is, I don't care how good it is or anything, but you're going to practice your craft for the year between now and when you come to study with me in New York. So that's what I did. And I went down to study with him in New York. And I also studied with Albert Haig, who was a Broadway composer. He composed the Tony Award winning. He composed Plain and Fancy with Gwen Verdon, and he played Mr. Shirosky in Fame.
So
And
how are you feeling about this? Are you like, did you just have plenty of money and just like find a place? Or were you like scared about how am I going to make this? Or were you, I'm on
well,
my way to my dreams? Or were you scared it
yeah,
wouldn't work out?
no, I was not. I was just ecstatic. I was so excited about this opportunity to go to New York, and I thought, I'm on my way. This is everything I've always dreamed of from earliest childhood. I mean, before I was 10, when I was 3, I
So
was,
you had a lot of confidence. You didn't not have confidence at any point
well,
during.
I mean, I didn't know enough to not have confidence at that point. I didn't know what I didn't know. And so, and fortunately, my parents were very supportive, and they supported me through this whole thing financially as well as emotionally. And they sent me down there, and I got set up in a little studio apartment. But I'll tell you, the first year that I was there, it was terrifying, because I actually wasn't in my own apartment. I shared an apartment with a couple of other people who I had met, um, through various avenues, and we didn't get along all that well. And I was desperately lonely because I didn't know anybody in New York, and they weren't particularly friendly. And I was living at Park Avenue and 34th Street, which sounds very glamorous, but it's
Yeah.
very, very anonymous. And it was in an old post-war building. And I was living in a room that was basically exactly the size of my single bed. To get out of my bed, I had to open the kitchen door and walk into the kitchen because there was no room. So it was not glamorous at all. I had a trunk at the end of my bed, which was my closet. So everything was in my trunk, and that was it. So it was very much the young actors, kind of um, trial by fire. And so that was my first year in New York, and I was terrified. I was terrified to take the subway. I was terrified, and actually I didn't have any money, and I didn't know, I'd never really been on my own before. So it was very scary. But I was there for 3 years, and over the next couple of years, obviously I got acclimatized and figured things out, and had some absolutely incredible experiences while I was there. And came back to Canada and started doing summer stock and regional theater, and and that was great. But I just felt that I wasn't temperamentally suited to, firstly, the rejection of auditions and the cold calling and all of that. And so I didn't know what I was going to do with myself. And I knew that I'm a creative personality, and I had to try to figure something out. And I stumbled really on interior design. And
But was it in making the choice to try interior design, was the voice inside your head saying, I'll just do this for now so I have something else to support me? Or was it, I can't do the acting anymore, I've got to let go of my lifelong dream?
yeah, that was it.
Wow.
Was
That
the
must have been
second.
heartbreaking.
It was very hard, and I never really let go of it because, funnily enough, as an interior designer, over the years, I developed my expertise, and I was actually asked to be a speaker at trade shows, at home shows. I was then asked to be on TV. I did a lot of radio. So I
Well, I
actually
mean,
like
the thing
performing.
is, can I be the first to tell you, you don't get to choose not to be an actor. You either
Exactly.
are or you aren't.
That's right, exactly. And so I actually looked for the opportunity in my design career to be a performer because I was never as alive as I was on stage speaking at a home show or a trade show in front of hundreds of people and performing. It was just what lit me up. And
it's in your blood. And I hear that with
yeah,
narrators.
yeah,
It's so odd to me that narrators sometimes, if they're going through a dry spell, I tend to be the dry spell whisperer at times. So I get them contacting me. And the feeling some of them say, they express is, if they don't have such and such books, or they haven't had books for 6 months, they're not a narrator. If they have to do a part-time job is another thing. If they have to do something outside, they're not a narrator. You're a narrator. You're a narrator. You've narrated a book. You love narrating. You're a narrator. You know, just because you brush your teeth and make dinner for somebody doesn't mean you're not a narrator. It means you're doing other stuff as well.
right,
So
exactly.
you were always an actor waiting to,
always. And after 25 years as an interior designer, I knew that I needed to find something else because I was burned out. And my son actually introduced me to a pay-to-play for voiceover and said, you should do this. And actually before that, he worked for the Canadian equivalent of NPR. He works at CBC Radio as a producer. And a colleague of his was doing a radio documentary where they needed somebody to play the Maggie Smith role in a Harry Potter documentary.
Oh, wow.
And so he said the woman who was doing the documentary couldn't find, it was a radio documentary, and she couldn't find anybody to play the part. And he said, well, you should ask my mom. She can do it. And she has the accent and she, you know, can do it no problem. And so I was at an interior design conference in Las Vegas at the time. I got a phone call from my son saying, would you be interested in doing this? And I said, sure, it sounded like a lark. And she called me and she said, I'll email you the script. Can you have a look at the script and then call me back in 15 or 20 minutes? I said, sure, why not? So, you know, I had nothing to lose. And so I read the script and I called her back and I read the lines in like about 10 seconds. She said, done, you're it. So I went into the CBC studios when I got back to record this documentary, do the voiceover, and a light bulb went on and I just went, oh my God, I've just found my next career. This is it. This is it.
Yeah.
And I started studying and coaching and I joined a pay-to-play, which I won't mention because, you know, people will get mad at me, but I didn't know any better at the time. And I booked work and I actually was nominated for an award from work that I did from that pay-to-play. So it was really good for me.
But you know the feeling, because I remember I went in to do an audition at the Royal National Institute of the Blind, and I'd been doing voiceover and everything, but I've never done an audiobook, but I kind of maybe might have implied that I had. I didn't say I had, I just didn't say I hadn't. So I went in and did this audition. I remember walking out on the street and calling my friend at the dreaded corporate job, the name which won't be mentioned, and screaming in the middle of London, Soho, at the top of my lungs, I'm going to do this. It's the most amazing thing in the world. I'm never going to do anything else in the whole world. This is it. This is like screaming in London. People are looking at me like I'm a nutcase. But you know.
Do. It just hits you like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
And you really do. It was so interesting.
So, but Robin, so the feeling of worrying about cold calls, has that gone away?
It has actually, because actually with the advent of email, it gives me one step removed from the person I'm contacting. I can't hear the scathing tone in their voice. I can't hear their eyes rolling on the other end of the line. You know, I can just send my email and forget about it and follow up and forget about it and follow up and forget about it. I don't hear that tone on the other end where they're busy, they don't want to hear from me, they're not, that's the reaction I couldn't take as a young actor when I was making calls and going into casting directors' offices. I just couldn't take it. But with email, it makes it the easiest thing in the world, and I don't worry about it anymore. So and then if I audition, I forget it and go on to the next thing.
You see, I'm better with voices. I wish I could kind of call people, because if I can call them, I can charm them. But on email, I walk away and I think, oh my God, did I just say that? Okay, so now I want to get to some of the lighting and the good stuff as well.
Yes.
Guys, I forgot to say this at the beginning of the call. Any questions, type question beforehand, but I will give Robin a copy of the chat afterwards. So if you want to say something, she will see it after the call. And also quirky questions are welcome. We're going to try to end right on time. So start throwing your quirky questions out and I will ask Robin soon. So I love what you said. I think it was before the call, about you have to be able to, you didn't say it quite like this, but am I right in interior design? And the same goes for the booth and everything. Whenever you're designing something, you have to follow, there are some basic rules. Is it right that you have to, like with audio engineering, you have to learn the basics before you can break them?
Sure.
Right. So what would you say things people don't know that like they get horribly wrong? Like, I guess like it's really hard. I mean, I don't even know how to place a couch in my living room. Like, the basics are really, really hard. Were they instinctual for you?
No. I was trained to do it. I had no idea when I started interior design. I was just looking for something, and I went to school for 3 years to learn it, and I was disabused of a lot of my completely wrong notions through training.
Oh,
so
what?
Well, just that you don't need to worry about proportion, and you don't need to really be too concerned about lighting, the type of lighting, and why it's important, and where the placement should be, and what the type of lighting for the different tasks should be. I mean, that's super important, and it's very technical, and lighting is actually very mathematical, which is not one of my strengths, but I had to learn it. And lighting has numeric values, and so you need to understand the numeric values and the intensity of light and where to place it in order to get the maximum efficacy for your space. Because if your lighting is not adequate, for example, you may find that you get very tired when you're working, and you don't really know why you're tired, but you just feel low energy, and you just can't concentrate, and you can't focus. Well, one of the things, I designed a ton, hundreds of kitchens. And one of the things that everybody wanted in their home when I was designing was halogen lights in the ceiling, the little bright, brilliant lights.
That's what we've got. And now they're dying and we don't even know how to change them.
Right. Well, yeah, they're not easy to change. But the problem is every single manufacturer's bulb, they're actually in design parlance, they're called lamps. And every single lamp has a different color rendition. So if you get 3 different bulbs from different manufacturers, they're all going to have different colors. One's going to look bluer, one's going to look yellow, one's going to look orange. And when you have lighting that is not uniform like that, your eyes are actually constantly focusing and unfocusing as you're moving around the room, which causes fatigue. It can also cause headaches.
Oh, wow.
It can cause you stress in your neck and your shoulders, because when you're straining, and that's what your eyes are doing when they're constantly focusing and unfocusing with different levels of lighting and different colors, you tense up unknowingly. You can tense up your shoulders, tense up your neck, and every part of the body, as we know from our friend Melissa, who does that fabulous Booth Health Tuesdays, every part of your body is connected to every other part of your body. So if you've got tension in your shoulders and your neck, for example, that's going to constrict your vocal cords. And if you've got eye strain, it's going to cause you fatigue. And when you have fatigue, your vocal cords are not going to be at peak health, and you're going to sound tired. So it's super important, and people don't realize how important lighting can be in a booth. If it's either overly bright or overly dark, because your screen is extremely bright. So when you're looking at your screen, your pupils are very, very dilated. And if the rest of your booth is dark, as you look around your booth, your pupils are going to collapse in the darkness. And then when you look at your screen, they're going to dilate again. So there's this action going on in your eyes, which is very fatiguing. And so it's really super important that you actually try to get as even a lighting throughout your booth as possible, with as little reflection on the screen as you can have.
Yeah, see the reflection, because I'm very, very photosensitive. Like I'm very sensitive to light, and the LEDs like just kill me. And so I think my room is darker than it should be, because I'm always trying to get warm lighting, and that's never bright. But I had a big lesson that was really astounding to me. Was I put a Christmas tree up in my booth this year, and it had white lights. It didn't have colored lights, right? But my work productivity, my turnaround time, I was doing twice the amount every single day for some reason. And it was the Christmas tree lights, because the minute the tree came down, that went off, that stopped. And I think it's because I don't have enough light in my booth. And I think that having that light made the focus easier and less mistakes. And
so let me just say one thing about LED lighting. It's not the LED lighting itself that's causing you the problem. It's the color of the LED light. And LED stands for light emitting diode. And that is a very, very blue, cold light.
Yeah, it hurts.
Naturally. But there are filters. You can get bulbs that have what they call different coloring rendering index, a color rendering index. And you should look for a warmer, if that's a problem for you, the cool light is a problem. So then look for a warmer LED. And there are, in general lighting stores for the consumer, they'll call them cool and warm. Whereas in professional terms, you're looking for a numerical value. So a numerical value of 3000 Kelvin, which is the measure of the color temperature, that's close to sunlight. That kind of light, anything that's over 3000 starts getting very, very, very cool, and anything below 3000 gets much warmer. So 2700 is a very comfortable light for most people.
But does warm mean less light? Does warm mean?
It's a different color.
Okay.
Warm means a different color. When you look at an incandescent light bulb, for example, it's more of a warm color. It's a yellow as opposed to a blue. And so that's a color that everybody finds easier, or not everybody, I must say. Some people, I actually prefer a bluer light. I prefer it to be super bright, but that's not everybody. Yeah. But see, that's the thing. Everybody is different. Yeah. So lighting has to be designed not only for the principles of lighting, but for the individual involved and what kind of light they respond to. You found that you responded to the Christmas lights. And I don't know if they were LED or not, but most Christmas lights now are LED, whether you know it or not.
Okay.
And they could have been, and it was just, but it's not, it might not only be the light. The Christmas tree gives you an ambiance that could affect you emotionally. And that's part of why decor is important. And that's why the interior of your booth, actually, the way it looks can be really important. When you put up little mementos and you put up things that are personal for you and little pictures and you know, I've seen somebody who collects bobbleheads and puts those in the booth. Yeah. Whatever it is that makes you happy, that is actually going to make you feel more comfortable in your space. And when you feel more comfortable and happy, you are more productive. So the Christmas tree could have been partly the light and partly just the ambiance. And you could do that with a ficus tree, for example. You know, put
I've got a Turkish hanging lamp coming, so I'm hoping. Okay, so now I definitely want to get into ambience, but we've got the questions coming fast and heavy. So let's. Okay. I'm going to do the quirky ones at the end of the call, but I've got a couple about light. So I think right now is a good time before we move to a different area. So Barbara says, I worry about having lighting in the booth for noise. I usually just use the light from the monitor when recording. Is that bad? I never even thought about light making noise.
Yeah, fluorescent light, for example, is notorious for buzzing. But if you have a light that buzzes, it's because there's a faulty transformer or there's the wrong transformer for the light that you're using. So LED actually is a great light to have in your booth because it also does not create heat. And we need to make sure that we don't overheat in our booths because it's very rare that you can have a ventilation system with a fan running while you're recording. So LED is actually silent and it doesn't emit heat. So it's a good choice, and you just need to look for the color that's going to make you happy. And Barbara, I would say that it's not great to only have light from your monitor because, as I said, your eyes are going to be super dilated when you're looking at your monitor versus when you look away, you're looking into darkness, so your pupils could contract. And the more you do that, the more fatigue you cause yourself. So I would at least have a small, even a small incandescent lamp, just a little table lamp or something in a corner, just to give you a little bit more ambient light around you.
And so also mood-wise, right? Because being in the dark, melatonin, I know, but you're staring at a blue light, so it's triggering, it's going to keep you awake, but you're still in the dark, so that's got to be affecting you physiologically, energy-wise, and alertness and focus.
Well, we're still learning what's happening with blue light and how it affects people, and so more and more people are looking for blue light glasses, whether or not they need glasses for prescription, just to block that blue light, because it can cause interruptions in sleep and mood and all kinds of other physiological. But like everything, it doesn't affect everybody the same way.
Yeah.
So I think that, for people who find they can only record for a few hours before they just get exhausted, lighting would be something that I would look at. The other thing, obviously, is a real obvious one, is ventilation. Because if you don't have ventilation, you're going to be, your oxygen is going to be depleted in the booth, and it's going to get hot, and you're going to be breathing your own air. So just at least open the door every once in a while to get some air in, every hour at least.
I bought an air purifier recently, but I only did it for my bird because he was sneezing. Like, people tell you for years to do something for your health, and you're like, yeah, whatever. But then if it's somebody you care about, of course you do it. But I bought it, and funny enough, no coughing, no problems in the booth, breath control. So turns out it was a good thing. Okay, more questions. Melissa says, how about using lights of different colors in different rooms of your house? Is that okay?
It's fine. I mean, it's personal preference, a lot of it. Whatever you like. I happen to like seeing uniform lighting. I mean, obviously, if you're in a living room, you don't want to have it lit up like a football field. You want to have softer lighting if you're relaxing. And that's the thing, that if you want to calm yourself down and be relaxed, you want a warmer light. And the warmer light is something that would be 2700 Kelvin or less. And sometimes you can see that on the box of the light bulb that says 2700 K. And that means Kelvin, and that's the way of measuring light color temperature. So, but it's a very subjective thing. And when I was designing for people, this is part of what I would ask them is, how do they respond to light, and what kind of light do they like, and how do they feel in certain atmospheres, so that I can get a sense of which rooms need more light and which rooms don't. I can tell you, in any room where you're going to be doing tasks, what you do not want is those halogen spotlights on the ceiling lighting up your surface, because you'll have a very bright pool of light and then a shadow, and then a bright pool of light and a shadow. And like I was talking about before, your eyes are constantly having to readjust for the different light levels. So the goal is to have as even a lighting as possible on your surface, whether that's bright or less bright. It doesn't really matter so much as the even quality of it, rather than having bright and less bright areas.
Okay, so next question, Melissa, can you cover an LED light with something like a theater gel?
Sure, yeah, absolutely you can. And it just depends on the fixture you have as to how you would fix it. But yeah, absolutely. Nothing wrong with that.
Jonathan says, my light reflects off my iPad from which I'm reading, so I don't even use a light in my booth and just use the light emitted from my iPad, which is probably, that's the same thing that Barbara does.
Right.
That doesn't feel like it's good for us.
Well, so what I would say is you could put some, almost, you know, the way we've got pop filters. Well, you could get something like that to direct the light away from your screen, so it's not reflecting on your screen, but or point your light at the wall behind you, so the light is actually bouncing off the wall and giving you ambient light in the room, but not reflecting directly on your screen. So that would be a way to fix that.
Let's talk ambience. Ambience. Oh God, you know you're a narrator when every single word you use ever, you sit and question yourself. Should I check that off?
About the pronunciation, I know.
I see so many people, and I was talking about a pet peeve. I said it before the call, saying I'm not going to say it during the call, so I don't have to edit it out. But oh well, let's just fly our freak flag here. I see posts all the time on Facebook with people bragging about their booths and checking all the boxes. And then some of them are amazing. I mean, I see, is it Todd, I think? Little action figures in the booth, and you just like, when I see that, it's like, oh, you know, and it tells you a little bit about the person. It's like a little hint into their lives. But some of them I just see the same booth, just the same booth, nothing interesting, nothing, literally nothing, except for the you know, the filter, the whatever, the little coating that we put on. I can't, my mind is going completely blank. But except for the lining, there's nothing. A foam, thank you. Oh my God. Oh. Except for the foam, they have nothing else in the booth, not even a picture. And it goes back to what Shannon Parker said. I don't know what is wrong with my brain today. I'm like losing my words, but she considers her booth her sanctuary. Now she's completely the opposite of me. She doesn't like a busy atmosphere. She likes a clean. So sanctuary means something different to all of us.
Absolutely.
But can you please explain to them what you were explaining to me about how some people don't even realize what a difference it makes?
Well, so having been an interior designer for 25 years, what that means is not only decorating, but it means reconfiguring space. It means improving function. It means lighting. It means all kinds of different things, fabrics and floor coverings and wall coverings and window coverings. And so often I would have a client who would say, you know, I don't know what's wrong with this room. It just doesn't feel right. I don't know why. And I'm not sure how to fix it. And that is the vast majority of people. And that was really a lot of me too before I was trained. And so a lot of people just aren't familiar enough with what the possibilities are to understand how to be able to fix it. That's why there are professionals like me there to help. And I can tell you that 100% of the time, when I was finished with a client, they would go, oh my God, I can't even believe the difference. And I had no idea what it would feel like. I didn't know how good it could feel when it was done. So a lot of people just don't even realize that it isn't feeling great until after it's been done. And I guess, you know, I would say some rules of thumb to do it yourself is absolutely put things in that are going to be meaningful, that give you pleasure. You and I both love color. And
Yeah.
if you love color, then use it. Don't be afraid of it. But a lot of people think that, you have to have everything beige because that makes a nice, quiet, non-distracting environment. But actually, beige is very demotivating if it's not something that you actually love. And some people actually do love it. Some people just use it
Really?
because they don't know what else to do. Yeah. Some people find it very soothing and very serene, and that's fine. I have no judgment about that. But what I have a problem with is that if you use beige because you don't know what else to do, that's when it's a problem. And so beige, if you actually really like color, but you opt for beige because you're too afraid to make a mistake, or you just don't know what else to do, it's actually demotivating and can make you very tired because you
And it's
don't
what
get
it
any
goes with.
inspiration from it.
Melissa just gave me an idea because Melissa said I like gray for the same reason. I used to hate gray, but if I put it in a design where it's industrial and I can give it a look, then I can make myself like almost anything. So far, not beige, but that's great. But no offense to people that my old office was very beige, but
But beige
you
can
can
also be
style it.
yes, it can be. Beige can actually be a canvas for other things. It can be a
Yeah.
neutral so that you can put other things on it. And that's fine too. I would just say if you're defaulting to beige because you're afraid of taking a chance on something else, or you don't know what else to do, it's the safe choice,
Yeah.
that's when beige is the wrong choice. So
Yeah.
gray is the same. Any neutral is the same. If you're doing it because you don't know what else to do and you're afraid, that's not a good reason to use it. The
And you
reason to use it is
face
you love it.
it's feelings because we're feeling people. That's our job. I have my corset, my favorite burly girl corset, which I could definitely not fit into now, but it's staring me in my face. So when I'm narrating, I'm Shady Lane again. I'm gorgeous and beautiful and, in a skinny red corset. But I think you're sending a message to your brain, right?
Absolutely. It's like you said at the beginning, I think at the beginning of this call, that when I get up in the morning, I go to work. So I get dressed to go to work. I put on my jewelry. I put on a nice outfit. I most of the time am wearing my full makeup, do my hair because it makes me feel better, and I'm more productive that way.
Yeah,
I
I put
did work in
makeup
my
on.
jammies. Yeah,
I
I
wear
did work in my jammies.
costumes.
See, whatever works. That's the thing. Whatever works.
Yeah.
But I think that and some people can be really productive in their jammies, and that's fine too.
Yeah.
But for me, I found that didn't work. I found that I just got lazy and I didn't get into the booth until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was unproductive. So, but it's the same with your surroundings. If you make an effort to create surroundings that make you feel good and that you enjoy when you're in there, you actually are more productive. When years ago, I worked at an advertising agency in PR, and I got my own little office, and I was so excited. And the first thing I did was go to a poster store and buy framed, brilliantly colored posters to put up on the wall because the office was like the worst gray in the world. And and I as soon as I got those posters up, I felt happier and I was able to, feel at home. It felt like my personal
Yes.
space.
Yes.
And that's
Yeah.
the thing. I think however it works for you to personalize your space. And I understand budgets and all of that. And some people at this point only have the budget for a moving blanket booth, and that's as much as they can do. But you can also drape some scarves in there. You can go to the discount bin at a fabric store and hang up some beautiful
Make it
sari
beautiful. If
sari
you have to
fabric, for
use a
example.
blanket, no
Yeah.
judgment. Use the blanket, but use a beautiful blanket. Don't
Or
use an
or
ugly
just
one.
or cover it with some discount fabric that's beautiful that you love. You
Yeah,
know,
Barbara says
I
tapestries are inexpensive.
right. And I had a client once, I had to do the teenager's bedroom, and they didn't want to spend a lot of money, but they wanted it to be absolutely spectacular. So I went to a store that sells Indian sari fabric by the yard, which is actually not expensive, but it's got brilliant pinks and greens and gold and brilliant blues. So I bought yards and yards of this fabric and created like a sultan's tent in the bedroom. And it was cheap, but it looked fabulous. And she said it was the best room she'd ever had in her life. So it doesn't have to be expensive. It just, you have to allow your imagination and your creativity to run free, and you know, look for things cheap and cheerful that you can bring into your booth that's going to make you smile. I think that's really important. It's going to make you smile and feel happy.
Because we're artists. We have to feed our souls. We're our canvas.
Yes,
you know.
Absolutely. Yes, you have to feel happy about your surrounding, and that's going to help you be more productive. And I have seen this hundreds of times with my clients. If they're happy in their environment, everything in their life gets better. They feel happier, they're more productive, their relationships are better because they feel happy and comfortable about where they live. And that's the same with being inside your booth. Make it something that you just can't wait to get down to in the morning.
And it's a shift in perspective, because I'm thinking, I hope it works. I detest the summers in the UK because I'm a Cali girl and it's dry heat in California. It is humid in the UK, and I can't complain because in the real world, you wouldn't think it's too hot. But here, it's not built for the heat. It's just disgusting. I feel ugly. I hate it. I spend the whole summer just working and like hoping like Mother Nature gets out of my way so it's winter so I can get back, you know, do more. And this year, I know, and Barbara's in Texas, so I'm aware that I shouldn't be whining. But this year I've decided no, it's the same thing with the booth. It's an attitude about life. It's like when you sit down to eat a meal, do you gulp your food or do you put it on a table? Do you have a candle? Do you make it beautiful? I've bought 3 dresses, gorgeous summer dresses. I'm just not going to look in the mirror when I put them on. I'm going to decide that I'm beautiful in them, and I'm going to spend time on the balcony. But your critical mind comes in. If you want, you know, you're like, I can't be like those girls on Instagram in those dresses. I don't look like that for all those reasons. I'm not doing it. Putting the dresses on, I'm going to learn how to make damn lemonade or iced tea or something. I'm going to sit on that balcony and do my markup. I see Nikki does that in Arizona, and like, you know, sitting by the pool, looking tan and gorgeous in the heat. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to enjoy, you know, the things you do when you're a kid in the summer. The enjoying the season when it's there. Enjoy your booth, enjoy your job, enjoy every moment. I'm really going to try that this year and not just be whining and complaining.
Well, I mean, of course, you have to give yourself a bit of a break too. We're not always going to enjoy every moment, you know, no matter how fabulous things are. So you don't want to put that kind of pressure on yourself either to make.
I totally was. I was like, every single second
I'm happy every minute, you know.
Yeah, good point.
Either, you know.
Good point. If I get like 2 minutes of enjoyment this summer, it'll be much better than it has been.
Well, yeah, change your mindset to be appreciative, and this is all, you know, so prevalent now, to be grateful, show, you know, really feel gratitude for the things that we have, and be appreciative, and understand that, you know, when we compare our lives to others, you have to be careful who you're comparing it to, because also everything that you see on social media is often crafted for show, and that's not reality. So we have to be really careful. And that's the same with looking at interior design magazines. I used to tell my clients, that is not reality. People don't live that way. Those interiors have been staged within an inch of their lives. The stylists for those magazine shoots have come in and taken everything out and brought in props, and they've styled the photograph so that it looks incredible for a magazine. And people feel insecure when they look at those pictures because they go, oh my God, my house doesn't look like that.
See,
But
I think,
nobody's house looks like that.
but I look at them and I think it's ideas. It's ideas
Well,
of things that I can use.
And that's how you should look at it.
Yeah.
But some, that's what I'm saying is we have to be careful how we look at those things,
Yeah.
whether it's social media or magazine, and don't compare ourselves to those because we're looking at something that was created for show, not for reality. So, get the ideas, get inspiration, absolutely. But know for sure, everybody's house gets messy from time to time, and it's not as clean as we would like. And it's, the dog hair is everywhere, and there's piles of stuff until you get to it. And that's life. That's reality. Very few people can live that perfect, minimalist, clean, pristine interior. Very few. Very.
The 1950s. I'm fascinated. I used to get those homemaking books in the 1950s. I collect them, and I have tons of them. And everything about the room in the 1950s was there for a purpose. The shelf was in a certain place for a purpose. They had everything was set up for a specific reason. This is by your bed, the lamp by your bed so you can read in bed. The TV's and I love that. And so is there a thing in design, style over substance or over practicality? I mean, how do you marry the two to make sure that things are workable with a person's life, but also look really good?
The phrase that every single designer learns when they're being trained is that form, as in how things look, has to follow function. So function has to be there first before you think about the aesthetics. So it has to work first. So for example, if you've got a room, if you design a living room that has absolutely stunning furniture, but no side tables to put a drink down on, no lamps to read a book or whatever, there's no place to put your feet up, for example, if that's the kind of room that you want to create, it's not a successful room, no matter how beautiful the furniture is. You have to think about the function first. So whatever the room is intended for, whatever use it's intended for, that's where a designer, for example, will talk to the client and talk in detail about their habits, how they want to use the room, who's going to be using it, are there any physical disabilities, are there any allergies, what are their preferences, what is their lifestyle, what is their schedule like, are there kids, are there pets, that kind of thing, so that you can design to fit the function and then make it beautiful, as opposed to making it beautiful and then having the room not function.
Yeah, I'm unfortunately, I got it backwards. When you designed your booth, what were you keeping in mind the most? What were your prerequisites for your booth that you really?
Well, the first prerequisite was, of course, that it had to function from a sound point of view.
Right.
So once I got that taken care of, and I'm very happy to say that I don't hear anything from the exterior. I don't hear garbage trucks. I don't hear motorcycles or planes or helicopters or any of that. So that worked. But the second part of that was that it really had to be an attractive space, because you can't spend 25 years designing homes and be in
an ugly room.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I would be so unhappy.
Yeah.
So it had to be really pretty, and that meant getting a really pretty rug. It meant choosing the fabric for the sound panels. I didn't want foam because I wanted something that I could choose the color of that was going to work with the rug that I put down. I used Audiobook panels, and they have the ability to print a photograph on the panel fabric. So I found
what are they called? What are they called?
Audiobook is the brand. And we should post a picture of my booth. I can't move my camera. It's attached to my monitor, so I can't show you, and it's kind of messy right now anyway, but I want to post
under
a picture.
The thank you email, the people leave comments and we can post a picture. And so yeah, see, because that's the thing. I've got the foam, but then I covered it with leopard print fur, which kind of probably but I couldn't stand it. I think the foam is so
Yeah.
ugly. I hated
Yeah.
it.
Well, and that's where I'm saying, you know, if budget is an issue, you could use sari fabric and create a sultan's tent
Yeah.
and not see the foam.
No,
Do
I've got a
something
built booth. I've got a
creative. Right.
standalone built booth,
Okay. Yeah.
completely covered with the insulation and the foam. But
Right.
then on top of that,
I think
I
that's great.
know I
Yeah, it's
couldn't
great.
stand the foam.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I wouldn't, that's why I didn't use foam because now I do have it behind, you'll see it behind me. There's a door behind me and I put it on the door because there's a limited amount of it and that's okay. But to my left, which you can't see right now, but we'll post a picture,
Okay.
are the 3 Audiobook panels, and they're sound panels, and Audiobook is the company that I got them from, that they can print photographs on these acoustic panels.
I love
So
that.
I have a triptych, which is a vista of a California coastline with ocean and mountains, because I knew I wasn't going to have a window in my booth, and I wanted something where I could stretch my eye out and look at a beautiful view.
I so want to see that because I love a lot of those. You can find them online, the pictures of like, it looks like you're going into a bookcase, or it looks like you're going into, you know, they've got visual.
It's called a faux finish, and it's a trompe l'oeil, which is the real French word, which literally means fool the eye. So
Yeah, I
trompe
love that.
is fool and l'oeil is your eye. So you're fooling your eye by creating, you know, some illusion, either with paint or photograph or whatever, that makes it look like you're looking out a window or you're looking, you know, at a bookcase, as you say, or whatever it is, whatever it might be. So that's, yeah, that's what I decided to do with mine. And,
okay, now
and I really,
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Thank you, Melissa. We've got some questions.
Thanks for time, Melissa. Bye.
We've got some quirky questions from the very beginning, and I don't want to run out of time and lose them. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
So, quirky question. What's something you know you should throw out, but you just can't?
Oh, geez. I can't think of anything at the moment. I mean, I am a self-confessed pack rat. I keep things because I usually use them at some point or another. I'll go, ooh, I've got one of those. I can use it here, or I can change it and use it over there. So I don't really have things that I want to get rid of.
And I'm the same. I collect things because of texture, velvet, anything that, you know, never use it in my life. I don't care. What's the first concert you ever attended?
Oh, I was just talking about this the other day. It was Neil Diamond in Montreal.
Oh, very cool.
I was about 14 years old, and yeah, I just thought that was the best thing ever.
14, that's young. I think I was like 18 before I ever went to my first concert.
Now, I went with a friend, but her mother took us. So we were with her mother. It wasn't
okay, so that's cool. But that's still cool. Because that must have been at 14, that's young enough to, like, you're looking at the world with wonder. And
oh, yeah. Oh, it was just so exciting. And the second concert I went to was, well, sort of a concert. It was Jesus Christ Superstar, when it was brand new.
Oh,
and
wow.
That just blew my socks off. That was incredible. So
what's your dream? What would you love now? What do you want?
What I would love is to be at the point where I can spend 3 months a year in Paris. That's what I really want.
See, I knew you had style.
Yeah, I would just, that would be, I don't know that I'm ever going to do it because I have dogs and I can't take my dogs with me and I can't leave them. So it probably won't happen. But if I could do anything, that's what I would do.
I love that. I love that. No, if you're going to have a dream, that's not a bad one to have.
Well, and I speak French, so I love going there to be able to speak in another language. It's just, I find it so transformative. I just love it. Oh, such an incredible city.
I do love that. I do. Oh, Barbara, I knew you were hardcore. Barbara's first one was Alice Cooper.
Ooh, that sets the tone for your future.
Love that.
That's the 70s girl. Yeah, me too.
So I want to, am I the only one that now wants to like hire Robin and have you come to the UK and tell me how I can fix it so my TV's close enough to my couch?
Well, I'll tell you what, next time I'm in the UK, because I have friends there and I do go there, I'll come and see you and I'll give you some free advice.
Because I think the style over substance is my house is like, you get afraid to do anything.
Yeah.
You get afraid to make changes because it'll be wrong. So you don't do anything. And then you find you're like, you know.
Then you're stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I love the idea of the panels. Can you imagine doing a picture of like all the books you've ever done, like a collage and sticking them on a panel?
That would be really fun. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they
That'd
don't
be
even
cool.
have to be a collage. You could, I mean, or do it on a panel. You could just print them and stick them up on your panels in your booth. I've seen somebody actually do that, and I thought it was a great idea. Loved it.
Yeah. I like that. But I do
Yeah.
like the leopard print.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love,
So,
but I think people should be wacky. I think people should, right, take risks, right? Because we all know that we have to do the function first. I mean, with the booth, we don't have a choice. You won't make it as a narrator if you're not as completely good with sound as you can possibly be. Beyond that.
But function doesn't only mean from that perspective. It also means that you've got enough room for a mouse to comfortably use on your table. You've got enough room somewhere, whether it's in your booth or outside your booth, to keep the reference books that you need, to keep the wires that you need, the extra stuff to put a bottle of water down. That's also function that you need to think about. And if you don't have enough room for those kind of things and you're putting your water on the floor and you kick it over and you spill it, and that's not good function. So that's something that you really need to think about too, is the layout of the booth so that it works from a functional standpoint, just for all the things that you need.
Yeah. We're all going to be redecorating our house. You're going to be seeing pictures. It's audiobook month. Everyone else is promoting the Robin, Anna Marie, Barbara, Jonathan, and Sandy will be like posting pictures of our new living room and our new bedroom.
and new booths.
Our new booths. Thank you so much for spending the time with us, Robin.
It was great fun. Thank you for having me.
I really want to see your panels. So send us a pic. So
I will. Post it.
Okay.
I will send you a picture. How do I do that? Where should I post it?
Actually, can you send it to me in Messenger, and then I'll just put it on the main post as a picture.
Yep.
So that'd be cool.
Yeah,
okay, wonderful. Thank you. This has been pure joy. 2 weeks of video will be out, you guys. Take some of this to heart. Make your booths fantastic. Talk to you all later.
Have fun with them.
Yes.
Have fun with them. Yes.
Yes. And I shall be on the balcony drinking lemonade. Bye, you guys. Thanks. Bye. Bye, Robin. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Daniela. Bye-bye.